Hey guys, this is Blitz here, and I am making a video. As you can see, this is a completely black screen. So you may be asking, well, Blaze, why do you have a completely black screen? Aren't you like playing a game or something? Well, I have an announcement to make. I, Blitz, am part of the International Battle Federation, the IBF. And we are the coach of the El Paso Enteis. Give us some hype, El Paso Enteis! So, I need to do a draft video to show you guys all the power that we drafted. Okay, so I think it was last Saturday. We all got together, and the 9 of us, we went and drafted Pokemon in a snake draft format. Kind of like this is like the GBA or the UCL, where we draft Pokemon for our battles and we choose 6 for the coach each week. My friend Spookleye, I'll have to put his channel in the description. He's done a draft video of his, and now I've got to do a draft video of mine. So, round 1, the first 3 rounds were OU. And I'm sitting there, and I get the last pick, which is the first pick in the second round, but whatever. So I'm just kind of watching all these Pokemon go by, and I'm like, the whole draft, the whole time, I really didn't have much of a plan. I just kind of wanted to take power and just kind of had it add up together. So it gets to me, and I'm just like, whoa, this Mon hasn't been drafted yet. This Mon could do so many things. It can attack, it's speedy, it's powerful, and that Pokemon, my friends, is Mega Metagross. Mega Metagross can do whatever you want it to. It's got Hone Claws to boost its attack so it can wall break. It's got Agility and Rock Polish so that it can boost its speed so that it can clean up. Plus, it's got awesome coverage. So much coverage, along with Tough Claws boosts, make it so good to have, and a really welcome first round pick. And then I got the next pick because I was the top pick of the second round, and I picked up a Pokemon that I didn't want anybody else to have, and that was Talonflame. Now, if any of you know competitive Pokemon, you know that Talonflame is a threat. It is the revenge killer of the century, with Priority Brave Bird and quite a strong Flare Blitz to go along with it. Very high base power moves, very fast. It really gets the job done. And it's not versatile, but I don't want anybody else to have it, so I'm just going to take it. And that's pretty much what I did. I just took it. But that also meant I needed to draft a hazard remover. And Pokemon like Latios and Latios were my first thoughts, but then they got drafted, and I'm just like, oh. So I ended up picking up Starmie. Now, Starmie is a really interesting case because it's a water type, but a lot of water types are bulky, and Starmie can be bulky, but it's not really that kind of Pokemon. It's more of an offensive water type, which means that I have a Rapid Spinner, but it's really frail, and that kind of ended up being a big problem throughout my draft. But Starmie has a great move pool with Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Psychic, Scald. I'm sure it's got more than that. I just haven't been looking it up. So Starmie, it gives me a Rapid Spinner so that I can actually use Talonflame once in a while, and I appreciate that role. So then the UU draft came in, and I started getting better draft pick positions from UU onward, and really, I thought that I had an excellent UU draft. Like, my OU draft, I wasn't really liking the fact that I drafted Talonflame. Like, I started to regret it, like, deeply afterwards. And you may see something change with that somewhat. And so I kind of wanted to make it up. And so I get to my first UU pick, and I'm just like, there's a Mon here that pairs up so well with Mega Metagross that it's not even funny. And that Pokemon is Hydreigon. Now, Hydreigon is interesting because it again can be a cleaner or a wall breaker, or it can even be bulky for that matter. Bulky Dragon type is not a bad type to be bulky. It has Taunt, it has Roost, and then it has a fantastic offensive move pool with Outrage, Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, a Fire Blast, Flamethrower, Earth Power. Whatever you want for coverage, it's got it. It has great physical coverage. I could run a choice band set if I really wanted to. I can run a mixed wall breaker. It's got U-turn, so I can run a scarf set. And it's got Roost, so I can run a bulky set. It does whatever I need it to do, and Hydreigon has just always been an excellent Pokemon to have. So then, after I drafted Hydreigon, there was a bunch of people starting to draft physical fighting types. And almost all of them went off the board, and I'm thinking, well, I better grab one before I have to wait until RU to get a good fighting type. And so I decided I'd do just that. I'd grab a physical fighting type, and I ended up getting like the best one in the tier because no one else decided to draft it, and that was Heracross. Now, Heracross isn't as versatile as, say, Mega Metagross or Hydreigon, but it still has some versatility to it. I can run a Scarf set or a Band set. It's a nice Guts Absorber. It's got Moxie for an ability. It has some great abilities and great potential. Plus, close combat hurts. No matter what you're doing with regular Heracross, close combat hurts. And so that's always a nice thing to have. So then I realized I've got excellent picks so far, but I really need a hazard setter. And I don't have one up to this point. I mean, I think Metagross can do it. It just doesn't prefer to do it. And a ground type to help with my my electric type weakness really would be a good thing here. And so I decided to pick up Mamoswine. Mamoswine, with its Ice and Ground coverage, is excellent. Ice and Ground has so much type coverage in terms of super effective coverage, and it's always like really great to have because you can just Earthquake the electric types. You can just you can Icicle Crash the ground types. You can it hits so hard too that it's so great. I love having Mamoswine on my team, and I think Mamoswine is going to be one of those things that I love to use. It's got Ice Shard, which is a fantastic priority move because it's the only other priority move I have besides Bullet Punch and Mega Metagross and Brave Bird on Talonflame. And so I kind of need that priority so that I can kill off faster threats, which may become a problem in the future considering my team. So RU, I don't think I did very well in. I'll be straight up. I don't think I did very well with my RU picks. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of my RU picks have potential. They could work. I was very rushed in I was drafting my friend's team also at the time, and I was like trying so hard to come up with mons for his teams rather than mine. And it ended up with me being like really rushed to find Pokemon for myself. So what I decided I needed was a fairy, because like every team needs a fairy of some sort. But I think Aromatisse by that point had already been drafted, and we were out of UU, so there was no Florges or Sylveon that I could have. So I decided to go with Diancie. Diancie is an interesting case because it can be versatile, but its offensive move pool is kind of limited. So like it has a lot of good support options. Like it's got screens, it's got rock polish, it has rocks, it has calm mind, but its offensive moves are pretty limited. And so I'm kind of torn on my pick of Diancie. Like, I like it, but I feel like I probably could have drafted better with my first RU pick. Next, I decided I have like nothing to deal with water types. Water types were like a big issue, and so I needed a grass type like really badly. Now, I should have drafted Tangrowth. That was like the thing I was thinking of earlier, and it didn't come to me, apparently. It wasn't the first thing to come to me. I was rushed again, and I ended up drafting Rotom Mow. So Rotom Mow, I like Rotom Mow. It's not bad. It can run a defensive set, although its defensive typing isn't that great. It can run spec sets. It can run scarf sets. It's got a decent move pool too. It's just not what I should have drafted. You know, I should have drafted Tangrowth. Tangrowth would have been better for this team, and I drafted Rotom Mow, which, I mean, is not a bad thing. Electric Grass is great for getting rid of water types, but it's also kind of obvious, and it can't take much grass type hits, especially Ice Beam. So, I mean, regrettable pick, but not that bad. So then my final RU pick, I was like desperate to get something out there, and I ended up coming up with something that looked desperate too. Aerodactyl. So Aerodactyl is another interesting case because it has a really wide move pool, but it doesn't have very many boosting moves to help use that move pool. So it ends up just being like this mix of like cleaner and, yeah, it's practically just a fast cleaner with not that much attack. It has great coverage. Like, it gets Aqua Tail, it gets Earthquake, Stone Edge, flying moves, the Fangs. It can do whatever you're looking for it to do. It isn't going to rock worlds with this strength. And I mean, it can set up rocks. It can technically defog if I really need it to. And so, it's not a bad pick. It's just, I'm sure I could have picked better. But overall, I think that my RU picks, even though they weren't strong, they will become valuable at some point. And it doesn't detract from the power I've got from OU and UU. Now, my NU picks, I think I did really well on. And that one starts because, first of all, I needed something to overly deal with fighting types. Because Starmie's kind of frail, Heracross is pretty frail. And so I got a couple of things in these NU and PU picks that really helped me deal with fighting types especially. And so the first one was one that I think is really not underrated, but really valuable as a team member in a league format like this, and that is Weezing. So Weezing is a good defensive tank. Plus, it has decent coverage to lure in specific threats. Like, Weezing has Will-O-Wisp, it has Pain Split, it has Haze. Haze is another good one. And then you got moves that can lure in specific threats, like I already did my week 1 matchup by this point, and I was considering putting Thunder on my Weezing because I thought, well, it might be good to give it Thunder against Rain Team. I didn't end up bringing it, but it was a thought, and it's those kind of thoughts that I like to have. It has Fire Blast for if I'm encountering like a Ferrothorn or something, and it can just KO that, and it's really overall just valuable. So next, I basically drafted a counter to Shell Smashers because all 3 Shell Smashers that were in NU were picked in like really quick succession right before this pick. Like Barbaracle and Caracosta were picked right before this pick, and Omastar was picked right after. And so I needed something to deal with those Shell Smashers because my team is not really suited to dealing with them. And so I drafted Ferroseed. Now, I really like Ferroseed. I feel like it has fantastic potential as just like a wall. I don't like how its sprite doesn't move, but that's neither here nor there. It can set up rocks, it can set up spikes, it can thunder wave, it can gyro ball. Its gyro ball is like surprisingly powerful because of how like really obnoxiously slow it is. It can toxic. It has iron barbs. It has incredible bulk. It's one of those things that I just need to prepare for it to get hit by a fire type move. But overall, it's a great Pokemon to have, and I'm really happy to have it. And then later, I was rushed, and I think I was the last NU pick. And so I decided to draft Combuskin. Now, as you might know, Blaziken is like the mascot of my channel. So Combuskin only comes natural that I ended up picking it. Plus, I needed another fire type, because all I have for fire types are my Talonflame here. And that's not really a very useful fire type, more as it's a useful Pokemon in general. So Combuskin kind of fills in that role as, oh, I have another fire type if I need it. It can also Baton Pass speed boosts. I can't Baton Pass Swords Dances and speed boosts, but I could Baton Pass speed boosts to something like Mega Metagross or Hydreigon to give them a little bit of speed that I need in order to clean up a team. And that could be very useful later on. So then PU came around, and I'm thinking, well, no matter what, I'm not going to be getting a ton of value from whatever picks I'm getting. I've drafted a decent team up to this point, and I think I just need like a closing portion of Pokemon. And looking at my team, I really don't have a ton of bulk. My team is pretty fast, not too fast, but pretty fast, and it's pretty offensive. So it really needs just a couple of Mons that are bulky to just kind of round out the rest of the team. So my first pick in NU was in PU was another Pokemon that can deal with fighting types, because even though I have like Talonflame and I have Weezing to deal with fighting types and Heracross to some extent, it's just better to have something to deal with fighting types because they can be really obnoxious sometimes, especially in League formats. And so I picked up Dusknoir. Now, Dusknoir, it can run choice banded sets and it can run bulky sets. It's got decent coverage. It's got Will-O-Wisp, it's got Pain Split, it's got Foul Play. Stuff like that is what makes Dusknoir kind of unique. It's not incredibly strong, but it doesn't have to be. It just has to kind of lure in some threats and take them out with a special super effective move. And it's also a great way to deal with fighting types and burn Pokemon that can't take it out. So it has a lot of the same usefulness as Weezing, just not the same benefit of typing. And I mean, Ghost typing is not a bad typing defensively. It's just weak to knockoff, which is a big issue, really. So then, a friend of mine pointed out to me that a lot of the bulk I have on my team is passive. It doesn't have, like, active recovery. And one Mon that I'd been eyeing in particular that can sort of deal with being bulky with recovery and still, like, do something is Duosion. And Duosion with Eviolite is very odd because it has a decent move pool. It's got 125 base special attack, which is really great. It's definitely more of a bulkier Calm Mind attacker, but it can run other sets if I wanted to. Like it can run Trick Room, for example, if I wanted it to. And it has Recover. It has a Magic Guard, so it can be a Status Absorber if I need it to be. And Psychic typing is not that bad. I know I've got a few Psychic types on my team, but I've also got a decent amount of knockoff Absorbers, so it kind of balances itself out, and Psychic is not a bad type to have a lot of. And finally, just to kind of round out my team, and as like almost a joke pick, but not really a joke pick, because I was considering it when I was doing draft planning, or not really draft planning, but thinking about my draft. It was a mon that I was sitting there, I'm just like, I'm not going to draft it in the first round of PU, but if it's still there at the third, I might draft it. And it was, and now it's going to be a fan favorite. I can just tell. I've got the piece of flounder paper, Stunfisk. So Stunfisk doesn't look like it would be good. It really doesn't. It is a piece of flounder paper. As you can see from the sprite, it's very thin. But it has base 109 HP. It has Stealth Rock. It has Thunder Wave. It has a unique electric and ground type, which I do like that defensive typing. It's actually a pretty good defensive typing. It also has Discharge and Earth Power. It has Water Coverage. It has Foul Play. It's a status mon that is better than its tiering suggests. And I like it as a Pokemon to kind of round out my team. And as another Electric Absorber, because I have a couple, but they're not really that good at absorbing fire attacks along with electric attacks. Hydreigon's probably the best at that, but Stunfisk is another mon that can really just eat up, especially physical attacks. It can just eat them up for days, and I love it. And it's really nice mon to just kind of round out my team. So as you can see, this is the El Paso Enteis. I don't have Entei. Someone drafted it before I did. If I hadn't drafted Talonflame, maybe I would have drafted Entei. Who knows? That would have been an entirely different story. But no, I don't have Entei. Somebody else has Entei, and that bothers me. Actually, let me look. Who has Entei? Kurt. The Adelaide Absols have Entei, so we're going to have to get revenge on them sooner or later. But this is the team. If you like the video, comment, subscribe. So just look for more IBF videos. I'm not going to record week 1 because it would be post-commentated unless I get a couple of comments saying that I should. Because really, I'm not a big fan of post-commentary, and I don't know much to say, so I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. Here's my 15 Pokemon drafted. I hope you enjoy. Good luck to the Enteis. Huzzah!